Welcome back. This is the course on stochastic modeling and queuing theory. In the last lecture, we looked at the MG1Q formalism. To recall, MG1Q gets formed whenever customers arrive according to a Poisson stochastic process. That is, a large number or infinite number of customers arrive from a pool, and each customer's arrival is independent of arrival of other customers. Then Poisson stochastic process is a good model for modeling the arrival statistics. Then coming to the server characterization, a very commonly encountered characterization is the one where the service time is assumed to be exponentially distributed, and if we have a single server with an infinite waiting space, we will have MM1Q. But although the Poisson arrival statistics is quite prevalent, because more often the customers who may be the actual persons coming to a service station, like payment of a utility bill or a doctor or a railway booking counter and so on, obey the property that it is from an infinite pool and independent arrivals and so on. The service characterization need not always be exponential, and it's better to generalize it. If you generalize and assume that the service times are still random variables, identical but independently distributed with a generic distribution, then we have an MG1Q. We still assume a single server with infinite waiting space. We arrived at the so-called Polzik-Khinchin formula or PK formula for the average number of, for first of all the waiting time in the queue, then the average number of customers waiting in the queue, then the average number of customers in the queuing system, and the average response time or the time taken by a customer, spent by a customer in the queuing system. All these we derived. Now we will extend this MG1Q formalism by including a notion called vacation. In an MM1Q or the normal MG1Q, what happens is the role of the server is to service the customer. If there is at least one customer, the server will be busy servicing the customer. If there are no customer in the queuing system, then the server simply idles, simply waits for the arrival of customer. The moment arrival occurs in an empty queue, the service starts, the server starts servicing. So this is the way the server is being modeled. But if we assume a case where the servers are not just some mechanical entities or some computers, but if you assume them to be a human being, then no human being would be interested in simply waiting when there are no customers. The person would like to do some other job. For example, in the case of a booking counter, when there are no customer, the server may go out to take a cup of coffee or to make a phone call or for a nature's call reason or to talk to his friend and so on. So, and it is also true that such a server may not go on like that forever, because after all the person is working and the job description is to service the customer. So after this, taking the so-called break period or vacation, the server comes back and then checks whether the queue is empty or customers are there. If customers are there, they start servicing the customer. If the server finds again the queue to be empty, may again go for a break or a vacation. This is more realistic. Even in case when the servers are not human beings, where vacations are required to break the boredom, even in case if there are computers and so on, it makes sense to have vacation. After all, we want those computers or servers to be well utilized. Normally, you may have a number of jobs that may be given to a server, out of which some high priority jobs are the one which have to serve the customers, which may be clients or nothing but the browsers, jobs given by the user sitting in a browser sending a request to the server. Because there is a human in the loop, to reduce the waiting time of the human being, the server has to respond to these clients invoked by the human being or users immediately. So they will be servicing such requests one after another until there are no more such requests. That is when a queue becomes empty. Then there may be many background jobs that may be present which the server may have to do it. For example, to store some files into the file system, or do some cleanup work and so on. So these background jobs are the one which can be taken when the queue is empty. So again we may say that the server goes on a vacation whenever the queue is empty and does some meaningful job and then returns from the vacation and then again checks whether the queue is empty or not. If the queue is again empty, they again go for a vacation and so on. Again, the vacation duration can be finite or it can be random. To be more generic, we will assume that the vacation periods are also random in nature. Because if a server goes to make a phone call, it may take random amount of time. Or the server is being interrupted by an official to do some other job, again it may take random amount of time. So we assume that the vacation durations are again random variables, independent, identically distributed, that is the successive vacation periods, and they are governed by some distribution. So that is the distribution governing the vacation periods. We already have a distribution that governs the service duration. So here such queue modelings are called as the MG1 queue with vacation. Here we see the system to alternate in two possible states. One is a busy duration, when there is at least one customer. Therein the server keeps servicing the customer. When the queue becomes empty, the server goes on vacation, and again on vacation when the server finds the queue to be still idle, empty when the server returns back from the vacation. So there can be one or more vacation periods being present. Let us assume that x1, x2, x3 denote the service durations of the first, second, third customer and so on. Let v1, v2, v3 represents the realizations or the random variable governing the vacation duration taken for the first time, second time and so on. v1, v2, v3 are all again stochastic process which are IID random variables. So during the busy time there will be only x1, x2, x3 occurring. During the idle period, idle in the sense it is not idle for this case of server, when the queue is empty, then there will be a sequence of vacation. Moment a customer arrives, during a vacation, the vacation will end as soon as the server returns back. So a customer arriving during a vacation has to wait till the end of the vacation period. Unlike the case of an MM1 queue where no customer who arrives when the queue is empty has to wait. Here a customer has to wait because the server is on vacation. Now we are interested in analyzing MG1 queue with vacation. We can extend the same analysis that we carried out for MG1 queue. The thing is, arrival makes the has a Poisson because governed by a Poisson stochastic process, hence I have got a memoryless property. But the service times and the vacation durations are general distributions. So we have an mg of a kind of q. Then we see that at any given time the history is required in general in order to predict the evolution of the future characterizations. That is, what will be the length of the queue given the length of the queue at a given time and an arbitrary time depends upon at what time you are talking about, and during that time how much of service or vacation got over and so on. So it's non-Markovian in general. But at those duration when service just got completed or a vacation gets completed, then the system renews itself, forgets the history. The reason is, at the time a service ends or a vacation ends, suppose we know the number of customers in the queuing system. It may be finite if a service ends, okay, or if a vacation ends, again the queue may still be empty or there may be some people. Suppose we know the number of customers waiting when a service ends or a vacation ends, we know the expected duration for the current service that has just begun or a current vacation that has just started. So the system exhibits a Markovian property at those time points where it renews itself. So in that sense, again it is a renewal process. So we can also call it as embedded Markov chains, because at these points this system has a Markovian property. So we already saw that if you have a MG1 queue without vacation, if you plot the residual time against time, again to recall what residual time is, a customer, call it as the ith customer on arrival. If the customer finds some other customer called jth customer B undergoing service, what is the residual time the jth customer who is currently undergoing service will take to complete the service? That time is called as the residual time. And it's more important that we characterize the residual time, because once we know the residual time, then the waiting time can be found out. So we saw the plot of residual time versus time for the MG1 formalism. So it is a sequence of right angle triangle, height being xi, base also being xi, where xi is the service duration of the ith customer. This is when the busy period happens, and the R of t, the residual time, is 0 whenever the queue is empty. But the only change we have to do is when the queue is empty, the server goes on vacation, and therefore an arriving customer during a vacation period has to wait till the vacation gets over. So suppose V1 is a vacation duration. At a time when the queue becomes empty, the server goes on a vacation for a duration V1. If a customer arrives just after the server has gone for a vacation, the customer has to wait for a duration of V1 for the server to return back. On the other hand, if the customer arrives at a time t units from the beginning of the vacation, the remaining time the customer has to wait will be just V1 minus t. At the time of vacation ending duration, the customer need not wait. Just before the vacation ending time, the customer need not wait, because on arrival, on returning back, the server will find the customer and immediately start the service. Just after the completion of V1, if the customer arrives, the server would have started a new vacation with a duration V2. R of t will immediately jump to V2. So again v1 v2 will be like a linear function, and height being equal to vy and the base also being equal to va. So here we have got an alternate right angle triangles. Either it can be a sequence of xi's or a sequence of vi's, and this is how r of t versus t will be. We saw that in the case of Mg1 cube, the main quantity of interest to us is the average residual time r, which is obtained by finding the average over this r of t taken over a very long time interval. That is, the average waiting time r is equal to integral 0 to infinity r of tau d tau, or for the sake of finite, for practical measurement, we can let in the limit t tends to infinity integral 0 to t r of tau d tau will be the area under this r of t curve. If we divide it by t, we get the average residual time. So this is what we are interested in. So let us assume we observe this Mg1 cube with vacation over a very long time interval of duration t from 0 onwards. So in that interval 0 to t, let n of t denotes the number of vacations happening. Let m of t indicates the number of customers who got serviced in this duration. Then we will be having m of t right triangles. The height and base of those things will be xi's, I varying from 1, 2, 3 and so on up to m of t, and there will be n of t right angle triangles whose heights will be vi and base will also be vi, where I varying from 1, 2 to nt. Because there are n of t vacation periods, there will be n of t triangles of height and base equal to vi. So if you want to compute the area under this r of t curve over the interval 0 to t, it is integral 0 to t r of tau d tau, that is equal to sum of the areas under the triangles of the formed by xi's and sum of the areas under the triangles formed by vi's. That is sigma I varying from 1 to n of t, m of t, 1 by 2 xi whole square, because half into base into height. Similarly, for the case of vacation durations, sigma I varying from 1 to n of t, 1 by 2 vi into vi. Now, to obtain the average residual time, what we have to do is, we have to divide it by t. We will call it as r of t, the average residual time, but it is time dependent because it is dependent upon the averaging process. When t tends to infinity, then r of t becomes time independent and we will call it as r. So r of t is 1 by t 0 to t r of tau d tau. So we divide both these factors by t. Then we will multiply and divide the first term by m of t. The second term we multiply and divide by n of t. Then we will have m of t by t, sigma I 1 to m of t 1 half xi squared by m of t, and similarly the other term n of t by t and an averaging over n of t. Now let us take t tends to infinity, in which case we will get r of t converge to the average residual time r. We already saw that in this case m of t by t indicates the average number of customers serviced or the rate at which the customers are serviced. It will be the rate at which customers arrive. Therefore m of t by t tends to infinite, it becomes lambda. It will not be equal to mu. We have already reasoned it out in the previous lecture on Mg1 cube, because the server may be, it will be mu will be the service rate only when the server is servicing all the time, because sometimes the queue will be empty, that is where the vacation occurs. The average, the rate at which customers leave the queue is not equal to the service rate, but it is simply equal to the arrival rate. Again, that follows from the continuity principles, that customers who arrive have to leave. They cannot accumulate in the queuing system, or they don't vanish within the queuing system. So we can put this as lambda, and we know that this factor is nothing but the second moment of x, that is x squared bar, and this factor is nothing but b squared bar. So again, the vacation duration have to be characterized. We don't need the density function of the vacation duration. It is enough if we have the mean and the expectation on the second moment of v. They are all IID, so the same characterization of each vi. So the first and second moment are assumed to be known. So this becomes the second moment. With this, we can write as follows. Before that, we have to find n of t by n of t is something we have to find. What is first of all, n of t indicates the number of customers who have been average number of customers who are serviced in the duration. In a duration t, how many customers, what will be the duration of that? That is what we have to find out. So we know that rho, which is given by lambda by mu, where this mu is the 1 over x bar is equal to 1 by mu. So this service rate is equal to inverse of the mean service time. If you know lambda and mu, we can get the server utilization factor rho. So rho is the server utilization factor, or the fraction of the time the server is busy. 1 minus rho is the fraction of the time the server is idling. So 1 minus rho represents the fraction of the time the server is idling. So in a duration of length t, t into 1 minus rho is the duration the server will be, the duration when the idle period will be there. In each such idle period, there will be a sequence of vacation. How many such vacations will happen? That is what n of t represents. So n of t is given by the total duration of the idle period when the queue is empty, which is t into 1 minus rho, okay, divided by v bar, which is the average duration of the vacation. So n of t, which is the average number of vacations happening in 0 to t, is given by the average duration the queue is empty in 0 to t, which is t into this fraction 1 minus rho. Okay, 1 minus rho can also be viewed as p naught, the probability that the queue is empty. This quantity divided by average duration of each vacation, which is v bar. So putting n of t as this quantity, this t and this t will get cancelled. Here m of t by t will be lambda, and this factor is nothing but x squared bar by 2, and this factor will be v squared bar by 2, and if you look at this factor, it will be t into 1 minus rho by v bar divided by t. This is n of t. We have to find n of t by t. If you divide it by t, t goes away. So n of t by t is nothing but 1 minus rho by v bar. So what we get is, this is the value for the second factor. That is, their sum is r. So we get the or the mean residual time is lambda by 2 x squared bar plus v squared bar by 2 into 1 minus rho by v bar. So this is the residual time, mean residual time for an MG1 queue with vacation. So the vacation brings in this new factor. Okay. And if you say that there are no vacations, then what will happen is v bar becomes 0, therefore v squared bar also becomes 0, but this whole factor will become 0. It will be just x squared lambda by 2 into x squared bar. Okay, you have to take it in the appropriate limit. It will not be 0 by 0 will not come, but this factor will become 0. Now we know that W is equal to R divided by 1 minus rho, because this formula still holds good for the vacation one. W is equal to R plus rho into W is what we found. Okay, one residual time and W times rho is what we find. So on rewriting, W is equal to R divided by 1 minus rho. So to get W, we have to divide the whole factor by 1 minus rho. On the first factor, we will have lambda by 2 x squared bar divided by 1 minus rho. This 1 minus rho will cancel with the numerator factor in the second term, and we will simply have v squared bar by 2 times v bar. So what it means is the vacation on the average adds this additional term value. So it is, you can easily, given these two values, you can find the additional overhead, and that is what we have to add to this value, which is dependent upon the arrival rate and service characterization, to get the average waiting time of a customer in the queue. Once W is known, NQ can be obtained through the Little's formula. Then from W you can get T. From T again you can get N. All these can be obtained. So this is how we model the MG1 queue with vacation. We will stop at this point. We will take MG1 queue as an example, as the model, and include the concept of priority and look at priority queues with priorities later. Thank you.